Let me show you how to reuse your old bundles from a previous quick weave. If done correctly, your quick weave should come off in one piece like shown. But first, let's focus on the foundation of your quick weave. First, you want to part your hair down the middle, and then you want to part out some hair on both sides of your part to ensure that you have enough hair to cover your actual weave. Braid down your leave out and pin that away so that we can now focus on the foundation of your braids that's going to be under your quick weave. I like to do 4 simple braids, starting with one towards the front of my head. I part my hair all the way to the nape of my head and braid all the way down on the first braid. When starting the second braid, I started as normal, but once I get to the middle of the second braid, I pull the end from the first braid into that second braid, and then I complete the second braid all the way down. So now you should only have one tail. Now, because I only want one tail at the end of my foundation, I start with the next 2 braids on the opposite side to ensure that my tail end is in the middle of the back of my head. Once I have my tail end completed, I then go ahead and crochet my braid onto itself so that it is secure in my head instead of securing it with a bobby pin, because it will hurt after a couple of days. Now for your weave, I suggest washing it the day that you take it out so that once you are ready to apply it into your head, it has time to air dry. But if not, blow drying it on the cap is no problem. And what you want to do is once it's kind of dry, you can go ahead and start to pull the tracks from the cap, starting from the bottom and working your way up, because we're going to apply them the same way that we did before. Now the weft is not going to be at its prettiest. It's mainly the cap versus the glue, and it should be completely dry while you're doing this. Go ahead and cut off anything that you can cut off, and you can peel off anything that you can to clean up the weft as much as possible. But don't worry if you aren't able to get a lot of it out, it'll be okay. Apply your glue as normal, and the first 2 tracks that we're going to apply is going to go from part to part so that those first 2 tracks lay in our face perfectly. Ensure that you are blow drying each track after you place it on your head so that it is completely dry and actually stuck to your head, since we either just washed them or they were washed before. You want to make sure it's completely dry. Once those first 2 tracks are placed, we want to then apply the tracks horizontally in the curvature of our head up until we get to the top where we have about an inch or about an inch and a half of cap left, and then we're going to apply our invisible part. With the invisible part, you're going to start from one side and work your way to the other. The tracks are going to be applied horizontally, right above each other, not on top of it, but right above it. And you're going to continue to work into the curvature of your head. Once you get to the curved part of your invisible part, you're going to want to start to angle the tracks so that it lays in the curvature of your head. Once you get past the curve of your leave out, you then want to stop and go to the front of your next side so that we can have a spot where we are able to close up the invisible part. Once we reach that area, we're just going to apply the tracks horizontally as normal. Have a fully closed invisible part method to ensure that your fine hair can hide all of the tracks. I like to take my hot comb and flatten out that invisible part to ensure it is as flat as possible. And then we can go into straightening our weave. I just straighten it as normal, making sure that I use heat protectant on both the weave and my natural hair. To frame my face, I like to take my cutting shears and start cutting my layers at the bottom of where my natural hair ends and continue to blend that out all the way through the ends of the weave just to ensure that it frames my face perfectly. And I cut it as many times as I need to just to ensure that those layers are as layered as possible. Something that I just started doing recently is applying black spray or black eyeshadow because sometimes the black spray can be too dark. I apply that right in between that space of where my weave ends and my hair begins just to hide that demarcation line as much as possible, and it just makes the blend even more seamless. These bundles are from A Shine on the TikTok shop, and honestly, I did not expect them to last this long and be this good, but I would highly recommend these bundles to any and everyone looking for quality hair. I've used this hair 4 to 5 times, and as I record this video, it is now my 6th time using them. I absolutely love them.